Dad's text glowed cold on my screen. "Don't come to the family reunion, we're cutting ties." My heart squeezed, but my fingers stayed steady as I replied, "Understood." Then, without another word, I opened the banking app and removed my name from Jason's $2.5 million loan. That night, I slept for the first time in weeks. By morning, my phone was on fire. 50 missed calls, texts begging, threatening, demanding I answer. I stared at them, numb. They'd cut me off, so I'd cut them off too. If they thought I'd save them again, they had another thing coming. Before we dive into this shocking story of family betrayal and unexpected freedom, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss these dramatic, true-to-life stories. If you love emotional twists and jaw-dropping family drama, hit that like button right now and share your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing your stories too. 2 weeks before Dad's text shattered everything, life felt like a bomb just waiting to go off. I could feel it deep down. We'd all been acting like nothing was wrong, but the tension was in every word we spoke. It started when Jason showed up at my apartment, wearing that careless grin I hated. He flopped down on my couch and opened a soda like he owned the place. "Em, I need you to do me a favor," he began, not even saying hello. My stomach turned. Whenever Jason needed a favor, it meant money or worse, something tied to my credit. I stayed quiet, waiting for him to say the rest. "It's just paperwork," he went on, waving his hand like it was no big deal. "Dad already looked it over. They need a cosigner for the loan." I froze. "What loan?" He shrugged. "Business expansion. 2.5 million? Nothing crazy." Nothing crazy? I felt the blood drain from my face. "Jason, that's not a small amount," I tried to reason. "What happens if you can't pay it back?" He scoffed. "Why would I not pay it back? I'm about to be rich, Emily. We're talking big returns." That was always Jason's promise. Big returns, big dreams, zero caution. Dad called the next day to explain. His voice was calm, but I could hear that icy tone underneath. "Emily, this is for the family. Jason can't do this without you. You have the best credit score, and you're the responsible one. You owe us." Owe them. That word burned. I had worked 2 jobs in college to pay my way. I'd lent them money countless times, and I even helped Mom get her medical bills settled. But somehow, I always owed them. I agreed, but my gut twisted. They said I'd just be there as a formality, a safety net. I tried to believe them. I tried to believe my own brother would do the right thing. For a few days after I signed, things felt almost normal. Mom called to talk about reunion decorations. Jason sent me random texts bragging about the cars he was going to buy. Dad seemed proud, like he'd made a smart move. But under that calm, I could see the cracks. Jason was already spending money he didn't have. I saw new sneakers on his doorstep, big boxes of electronics, receipts for fancy restaurants, and that was before he even got the first loan payout. One night, I tried to talk to him again. "Jason, you can't spend money like this. You have to focus on repaying the bank." He laughed. "Emily, chill. Once the money starts rolling in, I'll be fine." The next day, I found out he'd missed a loan update meeting with the banker. When I asked why, he told me he was too hungover to go. That was it for me. I started having panic attacks at night, imagining the bank coming for me. I'd worked my whole life to stay stable, to build a future for myself. And now Jason was ready to burn it all down. I tried talking to Dad about pulling my name out, but he shut me down. "Emily, you made a commitment. You don't get to back out now. Don't disappoint us." Disappoint them. Those words felt like a dagger. That weekend, I helped Mom pick out flowers for the reunion, trying to smile and nod along while my mind was racing. Was I really going to let my brother destroy everything I'd worked for? I told myself I'd wait, just a little longer. Maybe Jason would change. Maybe Dad would realize he was wrong. But deep down, I knew they wouldn't. They never did. And I was the one who would pay the price if everything crashed. I didn't sleep much that week. Every time I closed my eyes, I pictured losing my apartment, my job, my peace. 2 weeks later, Dad would send that text. But even before it came, I felt the storm coming. I just didn't know how hard it would hit. or how far I'd go to protect myself when it finally did. After Dad's harsh talk, I kept trying to tell myself it was all going to work out. Jason would get serious, pay down the loan, and I'd just be a quiet name on the paperwork exactly like they promised. That was the hope that helped me sleep, even though deep down I knew better. A week before the family reunion, Jason invited me to see the progress on his business project. He was all excited, texting me over and over until I finally agreed. I thought maybe seeing it would calm my worries. Maybe it would be real. When I got there, I wanted to cry. There was barely anything finished, just half-painted walls and random furniture piled up. His team looked like a bunch of bored guys scrolling their phones. Nobody seemed to know what was going on. "Jason, you told me you had customers lining up," I asked carefully. He laughed and patted my shoulder like I was 5 years old. "It's all about marketing, Em. We hype it, then we build it out." "But the loan payments start next month," I almost yelled. He waved me off. "Dad will help if it gets tight. He always does." That's when it hit me. Jason never planned to pay that loan on his own. He expected Dad to fix it. He expected me to fix it. I felt sick. That night, I called Dad, hoping he'd finally see reason. "Jason isn't ready, Dad. I saw it myself. He doesn't even have a real plan," I tried to explain. Dad's voice was hard and cold. "Emily, I don't want to hear it. Jason is family. Family helps each other. You should be proud to stand behind him." I bit my tongue so hard it hurt. Family helps each other. But somehow, that only went one way in our house. Jason messed up. Jason took money. Jason wasted it. And I was supposed to clean it up, again and again. I spent the next day at work trying to concentrate, but the numbers on my screen blurred. The risk was too big. If Jason defaulted, they'd come for my name next. My future, my peace, my dreams. All gone. That night, Jason showed up unannounced with a pizza, acting like nothing was wrong. He plopped down on my couch and started telling me about some influencer he wanted to hire. I couldn't take it anymore. "Jason, are you even listening? You're already in over your head. You're going to crash, and you're going to take me down with you." He shrugged. "Calm down, Em. Why are you so dramatic?" I wanted to scream. I'd tried so hard for so long to protect him, to protect my family. But they didn't see me as a person, just a safety net. Mom called after Jason left. "Emily, honey, your dad's a little stressed right now. Don't push him too hard." I swallowed a sob. "Mom, I'm scared. If Jason can't pay, they'll come after me. I could lose everything." She sighed. "I know, sweetie, but you're stronger than he is. You'll figure something out." "You'll figure something out?" That was all anyone ever told me. I hung up and sat in the dark. It was like I was screaming underwater and no one could hear me. The next morning, I tried to pull myself together, went to work, smiled at my boss, nodded through meetings, but my mind kept spinning. Jason was reckless. Dad was blind. Mom was scared to stand up for me. And me? I was the responsible one, the steady one, the one who was about to be crushed under their mistakes. That night, I stood in front of the mirror and said it out loud. "They don't care about me." It felt like ripping off a bandage. Maybe I could walk away. Maybe I should. But even then, the guilt was huge, like a heavy stone on my chest. How could I betray my family? How could I look them in the eye after everything they'd done for me, even if most of it was just controlling me? I didn't have an answer yet, but I knew I couldn't go on like this. Something had to break, and it was going to break soon. The week before the reunion felt like I was balancing on a thin wire over a canyon. I kept waiting for Jason to slip, for Dad to snap, for the bank to call. Anything could push me over. Mom called me on Thursday to remind me about the family cookout before the big reunion. "Emily, don't be late," she said gently, like nothing was wrong, like we weren't one missed payment away from losing everything. I showed up that afternoon, trying to hold myself together. The backyard looked the same as always. Dad's big grill, Mom's flower pots, Grandma laughing with the cousins. It was almost peaceful if I ignored the loan hanging over my head like a dark cloud. Jason strutted around bragging about his business empire, telling anyone who would listen about all the money he was going to make. I wanted to scream. Nobody questioned him. Nobody asked where the money was coming from. I pulled him aside near the shed. "Jason, stop telling everyone you're rich," I hissed. "You haven't made $1 yet." He glared at me, then smirked. "Relax, Emily. Nobody wants to hear you whining. We're celebrating." Celebrating what? I thought. A house of cards about to fall? I went inside to breathe, washing my hands at the kitchen sink. Grandma came in, smiling kindly. "Emily, sweetheart, don't worry so much. Jason is a smart boy." I wanted to laugh. Jason was many things, but smart wasn't one of them. Dinner was tense. Dad made a toast, thanking Jason for leading the family into a new chapter. Then he looked right at me, sharp and cold. "And we're grateful," Emily stood behind him. Everyone clapped. I felt my stomach drop. They made it sound like I'd had a choice, like I'd been cheering Jason on instead of screaming inside. After dinner, Dad pulled me aside near the grill. His smile was gone. "You've been trying to scare your brother?" he accused. "I'm trying to protect him," I snapped back. Dad's eyes went hard. "Don't question my decisions. Don't challenge your brother. You are a support system, Emily. Nothing more." My heart broke at those words. Nothing more. I nodded silently, but inside a spark of rage lit up. Support system? Was that all I was to them? No one cared what this was doing to me. Only that I kept Jason's dreams alive, no matter the cost. I stepped away, shaking, and found Mom fixing plates in the kitchen. "Mom," I whispered, "Dad is going to ruin everything. Jason can't handle this loan. We'll all go under." Mom sighed, refusing to meet my eyes. "Your father knows what he's doing. Please don't stir trouble, Emily." I felt alone in a room full of family. After everyone left that night, I lay awake in bed, replaying Dad's words over and over. "You are a support system. Nothing more." Was that really who I was? A safety net? A name on a paper? The next morning, Jason called me again, already asking about more paperwork. "Just in case," he said, "we might need to restructure the loan." Panic rose in my throat. Restructure? We hadn't even paid the first payment yet. "Jason, no," I tried to say. "No more paperwork. Get your house in order first." He whined like a child. Come on, don't be difficult. Dad will be mad." I hung up on him. Later that day, Dad texted, "Don't ever embarrass your brother again. Remember your place. My place." I slammed my phone down so hard it rattled the table. The facade was cracking. I could see behind it now. The pretty family photo, the warm dinners, the backyard cookouts. It was all fake. They didn't love me for me. They loved me for what I could do for them. By that night, I was done. I didn't have a full plan yet, but the first seeds of it were growing. I wouldn't let them destroy me. I wouldn't let them own me, and no matter what it cost, I was going to find a way out, even if it meant losing everything I thought I loved. I tried to pretend everything was fine after the cookout, but my heart felt like it was about to explode. Every time Jason called, every time Dad glared at me, I felt smaller, weaker. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't even smile anymore. Then came the worst day. Jason barged into my apartment without warning. He was all smiles, waving a thick folder. "Hey, Em, I need your help. It's just a quick signature." My chest tightened. "What is it now?" He dropped the folder on my table. "We're restructuring the loan. The bank wants more proof of cosigner security. They said you need to sign these forms." I opened the folder with shaking hands. Page after page of legal words I barely understood. But one line burned into my brain. Increased personal guarantee. My personal guarantee. If Jason failed, I wouldn't just lose my credit. I could lose everything I owned. I looked up at him, and something inside me snapped. "Jason, I'm not signing this." He laughed like I was a child telling him no. "Come on, Emily, you're being dramatic. You're part of this." I shoved the folder back at him. "I'm done being part of your mess." His face turned cold, angrier than I'd ever seen. "You don't get to walk away. Dad will never let you." I stepped back. "Dad can't stop me." Jason's voice dropped to a hiss. Your family. You owe us. That word again. Away. I felt the heat rise in my face. I don't owe you anything, I whispered, trembling. He slammed his hand on the table, making me jump. If you don't sign this, you're ruining us. I almost choked on the pain in my chest. Us? When had us ever included me? Jason stormed out, yelling over his shoulder that I'd regret it. My legs gave out and I sank to the floor, sobbing. I'd tried so hard to save him, to save Dad, to save the family. But nobody wanted saving. They only wanted me to sacrifice. That night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. I could feel the walls of my life closing in. The bank, the loan, Jason, Dad. It was too much. Then the idea came. Simple, harsh, final. Remove your name from the loan. My hands shook at the thought. Was it even legal? Would they come after me? But I had to try. If I didn't, I'd lose everything anyway. The next morning, I called the bank. The lady on the phone was polite but firm. I explained everything, Jason's lies, his spending, my fears. I held my breath while she checked the paperwork. Miss Emily, she finally said, since the funds have not been fully drawn, you have the right to remove your guarantee before final disbursement. I nearly burst into tears. I want to do that, I said. My voice felt tiny, but powerful. She took down my details and promised to process the removal. When I hung up, I felt like I could breathe for the first time in months. Then the guilt punched me in the stomach. I was betraying my brother, my father, my entire family. But wasn't it worse to betray myself? I stared at my phone, waiting for the fallout. Nothing came that night. No calls, no texts. It was the quiet before the hurricane. I sat alone at my window, watching the lights of the city blinking in the dark. I'd done what I had to do. No more running, no more saving everyone else. The next day, Dad's text came like a bullet. Don't come to the family reunion, we're cutting ties. My eyes stung, but I didn't cry. I typed back one word, understood. Then I opened the banking app and confirmed my name was gone from the loan. Finally, I was free. I set my phone down, took a deep breath, and waited for the war I knew was coming. I didn't expect the silence to last. By the next morning, my phone was buzzing nonstop. 50 missed calls stacked up like a wall. I ignored them, my heart pounding every time Jason's name popped up. Then Dad called, over and over, but I couldn't answer. I felt like if I did, I'd drown all over again. Instead, I stood in my tiny kitchen, breathing slow, reminding myself, you are not their safety net anymore. Then came the message that ended everything. Dad's words plain and sharp. Don't come to the family reunion, we're cutting ties. I read it 3 times, numb. It should have hurt more. But somehow, I felt relieved. I wasn't invited to watch my family pretend to love each other while I was secretly holding up their world. I wouldn't have to stand there smiling while they bragged about Jason's fake success. My reply was simple. Understood. When I hit send, my hands shook. Then I opened my banking app one more time. There it was. My name officially removed from Jason's $2.5 million loan. I almost couldn't believe it, like a chain had snapped around my chest. But within minutes, my relief turned into terror. Calls and texts flooded in so fast I thought my phone would explode. Jason, what did you do? Dad, answer me now. Mom, Emily, please, you have to fix this. My throat closed up. I put the phone down and let it ring until the battery died. That night, I sat in my living room, lights off, shaking. I could practically feel Jason pounding on my door even though he wasn't there. Dad's voice in my head screaming about family loyalty. Mom's soft, sad face begging me to forgive, to go back, to help. No, I had nothing left to give. The next morning, I went to work like nothing had happened. Put on a clean shirt, tied my hair back, smiled at my boss. Pretended I was fine. At lunch, I checked my phone again. 50 missed calls. 50. It was like they'd only just realized what losing me really meant. That night, Jason showed up for real. I heard him pounding on the door, yelling my name. Emily, open up. We need to talk. I stood behind the door silent, hugging myself so hard my arms went numb. You ruined everything, Jason shouted. The bank is calling Dad. They're saying I'm not secured anymore. I didn't answer. His voice cracked. Please. You can't do this. You're my sister. I closed my eyes, tears spilling over. I was his sister, but I couldn't be his shield anymore. Eventually he left, footsteps heavy on the stairs. I stayed frozen until I couldn't hear him anymore. When I finally went to bed, my mind was racing. I'd crossed a line I could never uncross. Was I free or completely alone? The next day, I got one more message from Dad. Just 6 words. You are dead to this family. My hands trembled as I read it. The words felt like a knife, but also a bandage. Like the final break I needed to heal. No more pretending, no more guilt, no more playing the good daughter who cleaned up after Jason's disasters. My name was gone from the loan. I was out of the reunion. Out of the family, maybe forever. It hurt, in a deep place I didn't even know I had. But at the same time, there was a strange peace, like standing on solid ground for the first time. I told myself, this is your new beginning. It was a scary beginning, but it was mine, and nobody could take that away. The next morning felt like waking up on a battlefield. My phone, charged overnight, lit up with calls the second I turned it on. There were so many voicemails I couldn't even look at them all. The messages stacked up, one after another, angry, desperate, wild. Emily, you're destroying this family. Pick up the phone, Emily. Don't do this to us. It was all from them. Dad, Mom, Jason, even Grandma's worried voice. I shut it off again. I couldn't take it. My chest felt too tight, like a band was squeezing my lungs every second. I made tea with shaking hands, staring out my tiny kitchen window. Outside, the sun was rising like any other day, but nothing felt normal anymore. I'd taken away the thing they thought they owned, me, and now the whole family was falling apart. By afternoon, Jason tried again. This time, he was knocking so hard on the door it rattled. Emily, let me in, he screamed. Talk to me. We can fix this. I didn't move. I sat on the floor behind the couch, hugging my knees. My heart pounded like a drum. Don't you get it? Jason yelled through the wood. They're gonna take everything. Dad's freaking out. We need you. We need you. That was the story of my life, wasn't it? They needed me. They needed my money, my credit, my forgiveness. But they never cared what I needed. After a while, I heard him slide to the floor on the other side of the door, breathing hard. His voice cracked, sounding younger than I'd heard in years. Please, don't do this to me. My eyes burned with tears. I wanted to open the door, to hug him, to tell him I'd fix everything. But I couldn't. If I opened that door, I'd be trapped all over again. I stayed silent. Eventually, he left. When I finally stood up, I felt like I'd aged 10 years in one day. I couldn't remember the last time I'd eaten a proper meal or even laughed. My whole body felt heavy and hollow at the same time. That night, I lay in bed listening to voicemail after voicemail. This is your family. Don't betray your blood. Do you know what you've done? My eyes blurred, but I forced myself to listen. I had to remember why I was doing this, so I wouldn't break. Then Dad's voice came through, cold and final. You will regret this, Emily. We won't help you when you come crawling back. A cold chill ran through me. I wasn't planning to crawl back, that was the difference now. The next morning, I woke to silence. No calls, no pounding on my door, nothing. It felt strange, like the eye of a hurricane. I got dressed, went to work, tried to focus. But every tiny sound made me jump. I kept expecting Jason to appear, to drag me back into the mess. That night, Mom called one more time. This time I answered because her name made my heart squeeze. Emily, she breathed. Baby, please. Jason is going to lose everything. They're talking about repossessing the house. I swallowed hard. Mom, I can't do it. I can't save him." She was quiet for a long moment. "Then what do we do?" I heard it in her voice. She didn't have answers. She'd always depended on Dad. Dad depended on Jason. And they all depended on me. "Mom," I whispered, my voice shaking. "I'm sorry, but I can't be your rescue anymore." She started to cry. It ripped through me like a knife. When the call ended, I curled up under my blanket and cried harder than I had in years. The silence afterward was the worst part. I was alone, truly alone. But even in the loneliness, a tiny spark of hope glowed in me. I had done the impossible. I had chosen myself. The next morning, I tried to move on with my day. I made a pot of coffee, checked my emails, tried to act like a normal person with a normal life. But every time the floor creaked, I jumped, thinking Jason would come pounding on the door again. He didn't show up until after lunch. I heard the knock first. Softer this time, almost polite. "Emily?" His voice was shaky. "Can we talk?" I froze, gripping the edge of the counter. A part of me wanted to slam the door in his face, but another part needed to know what he'd say. I opened the door just enough to see his face. Jason looked terrible. Eyes red, hair a mess, dark circles under his eyes. I'd never seen him look so lost. "Em, please." He stepped closer. "Just hear me out." I stepped back, letting him inside. He sank onto my couch like his legs couldn't hold him up anymore. "They're going to take everything," he whispered. "The bank, the house, Dad's credit, everything." I felt a sharp pain in my chest, but I stood firm. "I warned you, Jason. You didn't listen." He buried his face in his hands. "I know," he choked out. "I messed up. I messed up so bad." For a second, I saw my big brother, the one who taught me to ride a bike, who stood up for me in middle school. I almost reached for him, almost. But then I remembered the paperwork, the threats, the way he'd tried to trap me again and again. "Jason," I said softly, "you made your choice. I can't fix this." He looked up, eyes wild. "Yes, you can. They'll let us add you back on the loan if you agree. You have to sign it again, Emily, please." I shook my head. "No." He jumped up, fists clenched. "You don't understand. Dad is losing his mind. Grandma is crying every night. You're tearing this family apart." The words slammed into me like a punch. I was tearing the family apart? "Jason," I said, voice trembling. "I didn't cause this. You did. Dad did. I'm done paying for everyone else's mistakes." His face twisted in rage. "You think you're better than us?" "No," I whispered, tears in my eyes. "I think I deserve to live my own life." He went quiet, staring at me with something like betrayal, like he couldn't believe his little sister was actually saying no. Then he laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You'll regret this," he spat. "You'll come crawling back when you realize you've got nobody left." I stood taller, wiping my tears. "If that's the price for peace, I'll pay it." He shook his head, defeated, and stumbled toward the door. "Don't bother showing up at the house," he called over his shoulder. "You're dead to us." The door slammed, rattling the frame. I sank onto the floor, breathing hard. Dead to them. The words circled in my head like a curse. That night, Mom tried to call. I let it go to voicemail. Her voice was shaky, begging me to reconsider, to be the bigger person, to help your brother for all of us. I sat in the dark, listening to her cry, and felt my own heart shatter. I loved them so much it physically hurt. But love couldn't fix their mess. I put my phone on silent and curled up in bed. The apartment felt like a cave. Too quiet, too big, too cold. But it was mine. My choices. My mistakes. My future. And for the first time in years, that felt like a gift. When morning came, I forced myself out of bed, took a shower, brushed my hair. I looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. Eyes tired, but steady. Maybe they'd never speak to me again. Maybe I'd spend holidays alone. Maybe I'd cry for months. But no one would ever hold me hostage again. Not Dad. Not Jason. Not anyone. I took a deep breath and stepped into the new day. knowing the fight wasn't over. But at least, for once, it was mine to fight. The first week after Jason left was quiet, painfully quiet. No pounding on my door, no frantic calls, no texts threatening or begging. Just silence. It should have felt peaceful, but it made my heart ache in a way I couldn't explain. I still went to work every day, trying to pretend I was fine. My boss noticed how jumpy I was, how tired. "Rough week?" she asked gently. I gave her a weak smile. "Yeah, family stuff." She nodded. "You're stronger than you think, Emily." Her words stayed with me the whole day. Stronger than you think. Maybe I was. One night that week, I found myself standing outside my parents' house. I hadn't planned it. My feet just carried me there, like muscle memory. The windows were lit, voices inside, my family carrying on without me. Part of me wanted to walk up the porch, knock, beg for forgiveness just to make the pain stop. To go back to the old way, where they told me who to be and what to do, and I obeyed. But I stayed on the sidewalk, hidden in the dark. I saw Dad's silhouette moving in the kitchen, pacing, angry. Jason slumped at the table, head in his hands, Mom wiping her eyes. They were falling apart. And I couldn't fix it. Tears ran down my cheeks, hot and endless. For years I'd believed my worth was tied to their approval, their love. That if I just worked harder, gave more, they would see me. They would choose me. But they never had. I turned away and walked home, every step feeling like ripping off another piece of my old life. The next morning, a letter came in the mail. From the bank. I froze, hands shaking, terrified it was another trap. But inside was just a formal statement confirming my name was fully removed from the loan, with no further obligation. It was real. I was free. That night, I lit a candle in my apartment. It was silly, but it felt like marking a new beginning. The little flame flickered on my table, soft and warm. I stared at it, breathing steady for the first time in months. The phone stayed silent. Nobody called. Nobody texted. It hurt, losing them. I won't pretend it didn't. Every memory of holidays, birthdays, even those normal boring weekends together, they all hurt, like losing a limb. But there was a peace in the pain too, like I was finally standing in my own skin, without fear. 2 days later, Mom showed up at my door. Her eyes were red, her voice small. "Emily," she whispered, "please, we don't know what to do." My heart twisted. I wanted to take her in my arms, tell her I'd fix everything, but I couldn't. I wouldn't. "Mom," I said softly, "you need to let me go. I can't save Jason. I can't save Dad. I can only save myself." She reached for me, tears spilling. "But you're our daughter." I nodded, tears falling with hers. "I am. But I'm my own person too." She crumbled in front of me, hugging me so tight I could hardly breathe. For a moment, I hugged her back, soaking in the warmth, the sadness, the love, all tangled together. Then I pulled away. "I love you," I told her, "but I can't come back." She nodded, slowly, painfully, like she finally understood. When she left, I closed the door gently behind her. My chest ached, but something inside felt solid. I was not a safety net. I was not a name on a loan. I was Emily, a woman who could stand on her own 2 feet, even if that meant standing alone. Weeks passed and the calls faded away. The world didn't end. I kept going. Paid my rent, cooked my meals, watered my little plant by the window. Some nights I still cried, missing the dream of a family that would choose me for me. But each time, I dried my tears and reminded myself, I chose me, and that had to be enough. For the first time in my life, I was free, and I would never let anyone take that away again.